Man, 2005 in the WWE was a very fun time. Personally, it's my favorite year from my favorite era, the Ruthless Aggression era. I mean, you talk about the weekly shows, pay-per-views, matches, the moments, there's so much great to come out of this year. But what makes '05 stand out so much to me is just how many incredible rivalries we got during that time. Just think about it. Eddie and Ray, Batista and Triple H, Angle and Michaels, the Edge, Matt and Lita love triangle, Undertaker and Randy Orton. The list just goes on and on. What was the best though? Well, maybe check out this video to get my answer. Cheap plug. But one rivalry from this time that definitely deserves some love was the war between Raw and SmackDown heading into Survivor Series. You see, one thing that really annoys me about the modern WWE product is how technically we have a brand split, but like, do we really? Nowadays, these guys will go to just whatever show, no matter what brand they're on. Shit, each show lacks so much identity, they might as well not even have a brand split. And the Ruthless Aggression era though, it was everything. Raw and SmackDown didn't just feel different because of color coding. They both had their own flavor to them, feeling like completely different shows. Raw was looked at as the main show, the flagship, and it was built off the heavy star power, and it was the more story-driven show. And while, yeah, SmackDown in WWE's mind was the B show, but for many of us, it was our show. Especially for those that didn't have cable growing up, SmackDown was everything. And sure, they weren't given the star power that Raw had, but they maximized what they had and made it just as special. The launching pad for a lot of our favorites growing up was SmackDown. And then you have the little things that make each show stand out more, like the stages, the commentary teams, each show having their own pay-per-views outside the big four. And man, seeing a Raw guy on SmackDown or vice versa, it actually meant something back then. You didn't really see guys from other brands interacting like that, so when they did, it was special. Hell, you take a look at that year's Royal Rumble, where we had this big Raw versus SmackDown face-off, and that got one of the biggest pops of the entire match. And back then, everybody had their favorite brand. You were either Team Raw or you were Team SmackDown. There was no in between. So when WWE decided to tap into that for Survivor Series that year, it led to one of the best builds to a Survivor Series that we've ever seen. But that's the thing too. This wasn't just a show about brand supremacy. This was a Survivor Series that had some variety to it, which came together to create a very memorable and fun overall show. So let's go back to November 27th, 2005 in the Joe Louis Arena in the Motor City, and let's unpack why Survivor Series 2005 was so fun. So the show started with the first of a best-of-7 series between Booker T and Chris Benoit for the vacant US title. An interesting fact that I learned while making this video, this is actually the second best-of-7 series these two ever had against each other. Back in '98, they had one for the #1 contendership for the WCW TV title. Now, I will say, seeing Benoit on the show, as this was only a couple weeks after Eddie Guerrero's passing and knowing how it actually affected Benoit was a little bit uncomfortable, but it is what it is. Now, the match itself was nothing too crazy. I don't know why this abdominal stretch caused Benoit to start throwing ass, but I digress. Booker T ended up winning with the help of Sharmell after about 15 minutes. Definitely not the best match of the series. I'd probably give that to their match at Armageddon the next month, but it was an okay way to open the show. Now, let's wait a second, because that was not even the most interesting thing involving Booker T on this night. Oh, no. And it is edited off the Peacock version of the show, but the streets, we will never forget, because how could we? They cut backstage, we see John Cena and Vince McMahon chopping it up. Oh man, and shit just went left out of nowhere. Let's just roll the clip.
Keep it up, I'm a nigga.
What did he say?
Yo, what do you even say to this? WWE is lucky as hell that cancel culture was not a thing in 2005, because there's no way that this shit would fly now. I just don't understand how one man can be this insane, dog. Vince McMahon has done some of the wildest shit on and off screen for that matter. And for this to arguably be the tamest of them all, just says everything that needs to be said. Bro, and this the way he casually strolls right past Booker T and Sharmell, like he ain't just say what the fuck he just said. And look, I could and probably should be offended, but I just can't help but laugh every single time I see this. I think it goes without saying. Vince McMahon, you will not be seeing the pearly gates, my boy. There's genuinely no way. No fucking way. Absolute insanity. Anyways, next we had our first instance of Raw versus SmackDown on the show for the Women's Championship. Trish Stratus versus Melina. And look, going into this, I was expecting to just write this off as just another filler Divas era match. But credit where credit's due, because Trish and Melina, they were low-key hooping, I ain't gonna lie. It was only about 6 minutes, but they did what they could here. But before I continue with the rest of the show, Mickie James. Hey, look, I love Mickie so much as a wrestler. I actually don't think she gets enough flowers for how talented she is, but man, if there's anyone that had my heart as a kid, Mrs. James. Lord have mercy. Nick Aldis, salute to you, brother. You a lucky man. Wow. Oh yeah. Pro wrestling. Let's get back to that. So this night wasn't just about championships or even brand supremacy. We also had a story of betrayal between Triple H and Ric Flair. See, throughout that first half of the Ruthless Aggression era, Triple H had dominated Raw with the Reign of Terror. 616 days total as World Heavyweight Champion. He was the leader of Evolution, but by mid-2005, Triple H pretty much had nothing. Randy Orton and Batista had both moved to SmackDown making names for themselves, and it seemed like Ric Flair had moved on as well, becoming the Intercontinental Champion, if y'all even remember that. So, on the Raw Homecoming episode in October, which actually sets up a good chunk for the show, Triple H returned to team with Ric Flair against Carlito and Chris Masters. And they pick up the win, it's all good, things seem to be back on track. But then it all went south real quick when Triple H nailed Ric Flair in the face with that signature sledgehammer. After everything they'd been through with Evolution, and even a little bit before that, he threw all of that out of the window, and of course he did. Very few men can turn heel while being a heel, like Triple H. But this wasn't just any regular team breakup, because he absolutely brutalizes Flair. In the ring, outside the ring, backstage, this man went as far as to break the window of a limo that he threw Flair into. It was actually a really vicious beatdown. And when Triple H came out to explain himself, he spun it as him doing it for Ric Flair. He felt like without him, Flair at this point in his career was nothing. And in his mind, it was time for Ric Flair to retire. But Ric Flair? Retire? Yeah, I'm so sure. So that would take them to Taboo Tuesday, by the way, bring it back WWE, and a brutal steel cage match. And somehow, Ric Flair actually found a way to win. But that was not the end of it. Nah, because that loss did nothing but make Triple H more hell-bent on ending Ric Flair's career, which brought us to this Last Man Standing match here at Survivor Series. And man, I gotta say, seeing this entrance again makes me miss Triple H as a wrestler so much. And I know it's the popular thing these days to hate on him and call him a bald fraud for some of the irritating booking decisions, but nothing, and I mean nothing, this man does as a booker will ever make me hate this man as a performer. So then out comes the GOAT himself, dripped out in the black and blue robe, or maybe it was white and gold, I don't know. Icy title around the waist. And this man, Triple H, doesn't even wait for Ric Flair to get in the ring. He's already giving him the beats on the ramp. Like, damn, bruh, let the man undress first. Hold on, wait a minute.
What do you mean by that?
But then, hey, Ric Flair starts to fight back. He gets his licks in. They start fighting into the crowd before Triple H hits Ric Flair with a back body drop over the barricade. And from here, Triple H starts dominating. And you already know what time it is. Not even 5 minutes into this match, that man Flair is already busted open. Because hey, what is a Ric Flair match without his hair turning red like he just went Super Saiyan 4? And Triple H just makes it worse by driving a freaking screwdriver into the cut over and over again. Mind you, this man Flair is 56 years old at this time. He does not need to be taking this kind of damage. But he's facing a man that clearly has zero conscience. And he is dog walking Flair. There was a point in this match where Triple H had me dying. Just look at this.
Come on, Flair! Get up, you old bastard! Stay down!
Yo, bro, which one do you want, Hunter? But hey, Ric Flair, we know what he wants.
What you talking about, Miss Pearly?
I'm talking about these nuts.
Oh!
I mean, it is one way to neutralize a man. So eventually, Triple H gets Flair up on the announce table. He locks his arms for the pedigree. But nope. Back body drop and Triple H goes crashing through the Spanish announce table. There we go, Unc, show me something. From this point though, Flair becomes the damn nutcracker. Low blows, a steel chair to the family jewels. He even uses the ring post to do the damage. Somewhere in Japan, a young Shinsuke Nakamura is probably taking notes. I genuinely question how Triple H had kids after this match because it was a lot. But hey, Ric Flair is really putting up a fight. He starts beating down on the legs of Triple H, chop blocks using the ring post, a steel chair, and well, it was smart, because if you can't stand, you can't win. Flair gets Triple H locked in the signature figure 4 leg lock, and yeah, Triple H starts tapping, but obviously you can't win that way. And the thing was, despite all this work that Flair was putting in, Triple H just kept getting up, but Flair was not gonna give up. Triple H grabs the steel steps from the outside, he goes in the ring to bash Flair's brains in, but Flair does a drop toe hold to counter, and Triple H bangs his face off the steel steps. So you start to question, can we see another miracle like we did at Taboo Tuesday? Triple H gets back to his feet, Flair does an Irish whip, but then out of nowhere, Triple H catches Flair and lays him out with the pedigree. So that's gotta be it, right? The ref makes a count all the way to 8, but Flair gets back on his feet. So Triple H, he ain't playing no games, no pun intended. Just goes straight for another pedigree and he nails it again. And you would think it'd be raps, but this is one crazy old motherfucker. Flair's up again, he flips off Triple H, and Triple H was not taking that disrespect. He gets him in the corner, just gives him the beats, snatches him up, hits one more pedigree in the middle of the ring. Third time's gotta be the charm, right?
Nope.
This dude is still rolling around and trying to get up. So what is Triple H gonna try now? It's simple. He gets out of the ring, he grabs the one weapon that started this all, the trusty sledgehammer, and right to the spine of Ric Flair, and down he goes. The match ends in a no contest, fans are booing. Oh wait, wrong match. Ric Flair at this point, motionless. The ref makes the count. Ric Flair is never able to answer the count, and Triple H has finally beaten Ric Flair. Damn, man, 27 minutes of absolute carnage. And to think Ric Flair at this stage in his career was still doing matches like this is crazy. And it wasn't a half-assed effort either. This man was putting in work. This was truly love for the game at the end of the day. So big ups to Flair because he did not need to be doing this. And shout out to Triple H as well. Super underrated, super violent last man standing match right here. So to follow that, WWE Championship match. John Cena, Kurt Angle. And on paper, this is cool to see, especially in 2025. Seeing how John Cena had evolved since his debut against Kurt Angle all them years ago to now being basically the face of the company at this point, going up against Kurt once again. And they had other matches in between these points. Shout out to their underrated banger at No Mercy 2003. But you know, those other matches, they were straight up, minimal shenanigans. But this had all the shenanigans, bro. See, ever since Cena came to Raw, all Eric Bischoff wanted to see was the WWE Championship on anybody not named John Cena. He would throw every possible hurdle at Cena for months, including putting himself in a WWE title match, but none of it worked. But then it got to the point where Bischoff gave Kurt Angle Daivari as his own personal referee for all of his matches, including here at Survivor Series. And it looked like this could have been the end of the road for John Cena in his first title reign. The deck was stacked against him like never before. And man, this was something straight out of 1999. It don't even take 5 minutes for the fuckery to start. So Cena hits a suplex on Angle and goes for the pin. But Daivari, he won't even count. And as Cena's arguing with Daivari, Kurt snatches him into the ankle lock. He's got it in for a minute, but Cena gets to the ropes. But instead of just breaking the hold, Daivari just punt kicks Cena's hand off of it. Bruh, this was way funnier to me than this should have been. So then Cena fights his way out, hits a spine buster on Kurt, and instead of going for the pin, he just smacks the taste out of Daivari's mouth. You know what? Justified crash out. So Daivari was about to disqualify Cena before Kurt damn near tackled him like he was prime LT because, well, Kurt can't win the championship like that. Cena then pushes Kurt into Daivari, and then we get our first ref bump of the match. Daivari's out on the outside, and trust me, it ain't the last. So we get another ref in the ring, we get more of a normal match at this point, and it's a cool little back and forth. The fans are really into it, and they're split for both guys, to be honest. Cena eventually hits a 5-knuckle shuffle, he pumps up the Reeboks for the FU, but before Cena can even lift him up, Kurt just launches at the referee with the clothesline. Then he turns around and hits Cena with a low blow. So now Kurt gets him up for the Angle slam as another referee runs down to the ring. Angle hits it. 1, 2, nope. Cena is still in it and Kurt is livid. He gets Cena in the corner, he goes up for a superplex, bang, lands it. 1, 2, still no, Cena kicks out again. So now he climbs the top rope, he goes for the beautiful moonsault that almost never connects, and Cena, of course, rolled out of the way. He gets Kurt up for the FU, and Kurt just pulls on the referee to get out of it. He knocks Cena down, and then he hits a European uppercut on the referee. At this point, what is even happening? This is a mess, dog. It was like Kurt was taking lessons from Stone Cold at SummerSlam 01 or something. So now he goes out of the ring to wake up Daivari, who had to have been taking an actual nap because why was he out for so long? But then now SmackDown referee Lil Nate comes down. Kurt's trying to stop him. Daivari's getting back in the ring just for Cena to hit him with a DDT. And now the ring just looks like there's a bunch of hibernating zebras. Kurt gets back in the ring and right then Cena picks him up for the FU and he hits it. 1, 2, 3. John Cena retains the WWE Championship. What a fucking circus, man. Look, you either like this or you don't. There's no in between. I can understand if anyone doesn't like this, but me personally, I was dumb entertained. Don't get me wrong, I love my real graps as much as the next guy, but sometimes I just want to be sports entertained, all right? And I got some great laughs out of this, so I can't hate on it at all. Did it do Cena any favors with the crowd of people that questioned him and his skills in the ring at that point in time? Not exactly, but I had a good time watching it. And plus, even if you didn't like this, I think we can agree, wasn't even close to the worst part of the night. Look, man, the thing is, as much as I really like this show, it is nowhere near perfect. Prime example, Teddy Long versus Eric Bischoff.
This is a load of barnacles.
I mean, I get it. You know, Raw versus SmackDown, but still. Why though? I love them both dearly, man, so no disrespect, but we ain't need this at all. I think it goes without saying, this was an masterclass. And I definitely didn't need to see Boogeyman on my screen. You know what? Let's just pretend it didn't happen, all right? Let's get to what everyone was here for. The main event. 5-on-5 elimination rules. Team SmackDown versus Team Raw. So how did we get to this point? Well, let's go back to that Raw Homecoming episode I mentioned earlier, where we had a big SmackDown showcase match which was set up by Vince McMahon himself. But since Vince wasn't there, Eric Bischoff comes out and he just shuts off the lights on the SmackDown superstars, talking about how his audience didn't need to sit through a second-rate performance. And this is exactly what I loved about this story, compared to how they would do brand warfare in the 2010s. There was an actual trigger point. It wasn't just because, oh well, it's November, so just throw on these colors real quick. The SmackDown guys just got completely disrespected and they were gonna do something about it. That same night, Teddy Long calls out for a bunch of the SmackDown roster to come out and start beating down Cena and Kurt Angle. And then in runs the Raw roster and we get a huge brawl to close off the show and the fans were going crazy for all of it. Eric Bischoff had just set off a war. Non-stop show invasions start from here where the SmackDown guys will pull up and keep beating the Raw superstars. So then Bischoff tries crying to Vince about it, but obviously that wasn't gonna work. So he pulled up to SmackDown. He lays out the challenge to bring it all to an end. 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series rules. Raw's best versus SmackDown's best. But the invasions, oh no, they don't stop here. Even Teddy Long got caught in the line of fire by the Raw guys, and week after week, SmackDown would pull up on Raw and vice versa. It was just chaos on both shows, but it was fire. Then you got Kane and Big Show making it their mission to injure Batista with double choke slams over and over. It was becoming personal. And of course, how can we forget the iconic parking lot brawl between the Raw and SmackDown superstars on the Go Home Raw episode? This shit was beyond hype, man. And now we were at Survivor Series for that final battle. Batista, JBL, Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, and Randy Orton for Team SmackDown versus Shawn Michaels, Carlito, Chris Masters, Big Show, and Kane for Team Raw. And I just want to take this time to say, rest in peace to Eddie Guerrero. He was actually supposed to be on Team SmackDown on the show, but unfortunately he passed away just 2 weeks before the show even took place. One of my personal absolute favorites of all time, and it's just a tragedy, man. Love you, Eddie. So the match starts. Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels kick off things for their teams, and it's a cool little callback to Survivor Series 2003 and one of the greatest finishes in Survivor Series history. They have a cool little back and forth, but soon after, they tag out for Bobby Lashley and Chris Masters. And here's a face-off between two young guys that WWE saw as future stars, and well, Lashley definitely was. And as for Chris Masters, well, I heard he was a principal at one point in time, but whatever. Nah, but seeing Lashley almost get put in the master lock, considering how he would basically use that move for his own success, was definitely interesting in hindsight. And from here, Lashley starts putting belts of ass on Team Raw. Masters tags in Carlito, he just gets dog walked. Then HBK gets in and he starts getting tossed around. Pause if needed, because I know how some of y'all get. Lashley's just out here looking like a monster. But then Carlito runs back in, gets put on his ass again with the Dominator. But as the ref is trying to get Carlito out of the ring, Kane from the apron just grabs Bobby Lashley and hits him with the choke slam. Shawn Michaels makes the cover, and Bobby Lashley was the first guy eliminated from this match. That's the thing about these 5-on-5s, man. Anybody can get eliminated out of nowhere. But SmackDown, they didn't have much to worry about. I mean, look at the stars on their side. Rey Mysterio gets in, he does his thing for a good minute until Kane gets in there and it starts to look rough for the deadbeat. But Rey being Rey, he uses his quickness to get in the corner and he tags in the World Heavyweight Champion, the team captain Batista, to a big pop from the crowd. He's heavily taped up from all the attacks during the build, but that wasn't stopping him from putting an ass whooping on the entirety of Team Raw. Kane ends up on the middle rope and out of nowhere, 619 from Rey Mysterio, and then he stumbles back into a spine buster from Batista and he evened things up at 4 versus 4. But unfortunately for SmackDown, that doesn't last very long. See, Kane, he didn't exactly leave right after his elimination. So he and Big Show lift up Batista just like they did multiple times leading into the show for a double choke slam. Big Show covers Batista, 1, 2, 3. And just like that, the captain is gone. Apparently Batista was legitimately injured going into this match and actually needed surgery, so they were trying to protect him as much as possible from being here too long. But shout out to Batista for working this at all. So without hesitation, in comes JBL. He goes straight for the clothesline from hell on Big Show, but Big Show ducks, and from here, Big Show started to look like a beast for a little minute here. He throwing JBL around, Randy Orton tried to run in and got met with a boot to the face. Rey Mysterio tried to jump in, but Big Show caught him and threw him like Prime Magic Johnson trying to get an assist. He was going crazy. Big Show tries to choke slam Randy on the apron, but then Randy counters by draping him over the top rope, and then Big Show turns around into a huge clothesline from hell. But Show's still moving. So JBL tags in Rey, 619 to Big Show. Rey tags in Randy real quick and Randy hits him with a smooth RKO, but the Giant still gets up. So JBL gets in for another clothesline from hell, but the Beast is still alive. Nothing seems to be working. So Rey Mysterio gets in with a seated senton, goes for the cover, and finally, Big Show gets eliminated. I can't even lie, that is one of the coldest eliminations in 5-on-5 history. But it is so funny to me how WWE always like to pick and choose with Big Show and whether he'd be a dominant giant. One minute he needs all that to be eliminated, and then the next minute, he's the showster. But hey, I digress. So now, it's 3-on-3. It all breaks down into a big brawl, and within the chaos, JBL hits Shawn Michaels with a fallaway slam on the outside, and he's out for a good minute. So now it's up to Carlito and Chris Masters to hold it down for Raw. Yeah, all right, buddy. Clothesline from hell on Carlito, 619 on Chris Masters. SmackDown made quick work of both guys. It's 3-on-1, victories in the clear view for the blue brand, and guess who's left for Raw? Just like in 2003, Shawn Michaels has himself a mountain to climb. JBL gets Shawn back into the ring, and it looked like Shawn was gonna have to face the same fate as Chris Masters just a minute before. Rey's the legal man, he actually hits the 619, and he goes for the springboard to finish it off, and then bang! Sweet chin music in midair. Rey was down for the count. 1 down, 2 to go. JBL gets in the ring real quick. He goes straight for the clothesline from hell. Shawn ducks it and nails JBL with the sweet chin music. And within just 20 seconds, it was down to 1-on-1. Shawn Michaels from Raw, Randy Orton from SmackDown. Just like it was for Team Austin versus Team Bischoff just a couple years before. And just like it was when the match started. Randy's relatively fresh, so he's nonchalantly looking at Shawn. He goes for the RKO, but Shawn slips out and he just starts going crazy. He hits the full HBK comeback like he just pressed R2 and triangle on his controller, and he climbs to the top rope, he hits the signature elbow, but now both men are down. And that's when we realized JBL hadn't left yet. So he grabbed a steel chair from the outside, he slides into the ring, he tries to knock HBK's head off with it. Shawn ducks it and hits him with another sweet chin music. But like the snake he's always been, Randy Orton takes advantage of the distraction with an RKO out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. SmackDown has beaten Raw. The supposed B-Show reigns supreme. And Randy Orton, for the 3rd year in a row, is the sole survivor at Survivor Series. Such a fun 5-on-5 we got here. Definitely one of the best they've ever done. The star power was off the charts, the fans were into every single minute, and as for Randy, it cemented his legacy even more as Mr. Survivor Series. He completed the three-peat like Kobe and Shaq, and out came the SmackDown roster to celebrate. They lift Randy up, he's on top of the world, he's doing his big pose, life is good, but then his world comes crashing down because all you hear is this. The lights in the arena start to dim and Randy is now scrambling to be put down while these oblivious buffoons are still celebrating. And out comes some druids with the casket and they just leave it standing. And you look at Randy, he looks like he's just seen a ghost. Then all of a sudden, lightning strikes the casket and now it's been set on fire. You see, the month before this at No Mercy, Orton and Undertaker had a casket match to continue their already insane rivalry throughout 2005, where Randy not only won, but then proceeded to set the casket on fire. And in Randy's mind, he was done with Undertaker. But can you really kill what's already dead? The casket door comes swinging off, and 15 years after his debut at Survivor Series 1990, the dead man had risen again. One of the absolute coldest returns I've ever seen. The symbolism, the presentation of this, it was, no pun intended, fire. And sure, WWE themselves kind of spoiled it by having Taker on the poster, including him in the opening video package. But man, this was elite. Taker storms down to the ring and Randy, he is out of there. But Undertaker brought smoke to everybody in that ring. Punches, kicks, choke slams, tombstone to William Regal, and Randy Orton was just dumbfounded at what he was seeing. Taker looks up the ramp, does the signature throat slash to Randy, because of course, this was far from over. Even after everything they put each other through in 2005, Randy Orton and The Undertaker had one more chapter to write in their story. But here, we got an amazing return to close off a very, very fun Survivor Series. Was this the best Survivor Series of all time? No, not exactly. But man, it was fun. You had a banger of a last man standing match, a ridiculously entertaining WWE title match, the Raw vs. SmackDown 5-on-5 delivered on an incredible build, and the show capped off with one of the coolest returns in WWE history. It may not have been the perfect show, but it had so much going for it. And that's why even 20 years later, it holds up as a show that many remember very fondly, and is definitely a favorite of mine. But what do you guys think about Survivor Series 2005? Let me know in the comments down below any memories y'all have of watching the show. But that's gonna be it for me. I appreciate y'all for watching, especially if you made it to the end, you're a real one. Sorry if I sound kind of sick. I've been sick for a couple weeks and it's not going away. So if y'all hear it in my voice, I'm sorry. Can't do nothing about it. But again, appreciate y'all for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here. I'm gone.